Marathon is not even out yet. We haven't even seen any real gameplay from this game, to be honest, but we can already say with assurance that this is going to be an absolute disaster. It's going to be so bad, we're going to be able to label it in Concord measurements. I personally think that the Marathon is going to be a solid 3 Concords, I think. The CEOs, the executives of Bungie are already also abandoning ship. They are trying to get as much as they can out of this and just go into the sunset. And honestly, it's not even Marathon's fault. The fact that no one is looking currently with any hopes on this piece of garbage. It's the fact that, well, Destiny 2, the final shape, while being overall a pretty good expansion, still woefully underperformed in sales. And well, so the Sony takeover literally is not a matter if it will happen; it's when it will happen at this point because Bungie cannot stop it 100%, and Marathon cannot save it. So it's not looking good. It's not looking good.
Destiny 2 streamer says Bungie held a marathon gameplay summit for FPS players, but nobody was interested. This is a report that came in November of 2023. That was right around the time we started to get an idea that Marathon might not be going all that well in terms of its development. And it was said that some of these FPS players were Tarkov players, and it didn't seem like many of these Tarkov players wanted to play, well, what Bungie was building. Fast forward a year later, we got another.
Imagine how bad things honestly need to be when you offer someone an exclusive chance to look into and be one of the few streamers, the few people who get the chance to talk about a triple A giant project like from Bungie. And literally everyone says, "No, I'm fine, man. Just go somewhere else." That is bad. That is like that is criminally bad.
Report this coming from Jason Schreier. Marathon's development is reportedly facing trouble at Bungie. There's a reason that it was planned for this year and slipped a whole year. The sentiment I've heard is not great around it. That was in August of 2024, and just a couple of weeks later, the game director of Marathon was fired. This was a misconduct investigation that was conducted by Bungie, Sony, and they were fired. There's a whole lawsuit going on with that situation. But again, this is just adds to the chaos and the madness that has surrounded this game's development the last couple of years, in which really there's not been a lot of positivity in the air. Then there's also the fact that just Bungie.
That making a shooter where the premises is, oh, there's no stakes, you're just having fun and shit, is I don't know about you, but that kind of sounds like a lame ass shooter to me.
In general has been an absolute mess for a while. Obviously, this is the big thing we talked about late last year, in which they fired a couple of hundred developers. Multiple projects were canceled, some of them Destiny related, and some of them just spin offs and stuff that, well, now it's not happening. And it does appear that Bungie really is in desperate need of a win, and right now they're just not getting any of them. Even the final shape, which was, got amazing reviews, did not sell well. Destiny 2 seems like it's getting closer to its end, and they need another big hit game, and right now that is Marathon, especially with Destiny 3 seemingly years away at this point. But yeah, this was another thing that happened in August of 2024, in which what I just reiterated, Bungie was reportedly going to pull the trigger on layoffs, the hundreds of developers that were fired, regardless of the final shape success, due to leadership under-delivering on financial promises to Sony. And that just goes to the incompetency that has been happening at the top.
There we go. I have literally been talking about this for I think 2 years at this point that this is gonna happen, okay? No one gives you money and expects nothing in return. Everything is a trap. The same way this is a trap, the same way that Ubisoft with the Tencent deal is a trap for Tencent to just acquire Ubisoft. Everything is a trap when it comes to this.
Top of Bungie for a while now, and some of that involves car purchases. Pete Parsons, he's been running this company into the ground, and this is something that a lot of former and even some current developers have been criticizing for a while now. But yeah, Sony's billion.
I don't get the criticism. It is kind of funny that a guy is like literally goes to an average person from the company who's currently shaking that he's gonna get fired, and Well, he worked at Bungie, so no one probably fucking wants him anymore in the games industry. And and Pete Potterson, the CEO of Bungie, is like, "Hey, want to see my expensive card collection? One card is like worth more than all of your fucking bloodline combined." And they're like, "Hey, yeah, sure, Pete." I mean, it is a completely wacky thing to do, but listen, well, if you're the CEO of Bungie and everything's going to shit, well, what are you supposed to do? Stop living your fucking life? Stop using the toilet because Bungie's in trouble? I mean, the guy still has to, exist and live.
$1 Bungie buyout is looking more and more like a blunder. That was the messaging. That was the conversation that we're having late last year amidst a lot of the chaos that was happening surrounding this company and the skepticism surrounding, the future of Marathon, of Destiny, and really just Bungie as a developer in this AAA games industry. And then we get to this. Obviously, Concord was the topic of the discussion in terms of live services late last year, but Sony has been doubling down. They want their live service money. That was the big mission under Jim Ryan. Now, I guess that's kind of a mission under Herman Hulse. There's a new CEO now in charge. It doesn't appear that he's kind of shifted too far, in terms of their mandate, but they want live service money. This has not worked out at all for them. There's been multiple cancellations, multiple projects that just went absolutely nowhere. And then, yeah, obviously Concord, which supposedly cost them around $400 million, and it shut down within 2 weeks. And a massive blunder, one of the most historic.
No, 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 no. Listen, Concord wasn't a massive blunder. It was one of the stupidest things ever. Again, hear me, for I shall tell you the short tale of Concord and how stupid it actually was, okay? So, everyone at Firewalk Studio, the studio that created Concord, was a toxic, positive leftist Looney Tune character, pretty much. And all of them were like, Concord's gonna be the next GTA. It's gonna make GTA 6 seem irrelevant. Call of who now? They literally thought that they are making the next game that will take over the world, okay? They thought that they're making something that will completely blow away GTA as a franchise, and no one's gonna remember what the fuck Fortnite and Call of Duty are after they release this, okay? So these people, obviously, fucking loons, okay? Obviously. And the culture in that company was, if anyone says, maybe this mechanic isn't the greatest. Everyone pretty much got their pitchforks out. The hoods were already on their heads, and it was a slaughter. Okay, everyone who did not believe in the division was just removed. Boop. And then Sony got a wind of this, and Sony had a meeting with them, and Sony bought into this bullshit. They looked at this absolute trash pile and they said, "Holy shit, yes, this is GTA 6, but better." And then they paid 200 million for the purchase of this game and the purchase of the fucking studio. Because I mean, you're not gonna just give up. You're not just gonna let the studio that made something that blew GTA 6 out of the water and made it irrelevant to just walk away, right? So the CEO of Firewalk Studios literally somehow gaslit Sony into buying what they thought, and he probably also ironically thought is gonna be the next biggest thing in gaming. Imagine being that fucking stupid.
Flops in this gaming industry, and right now people are wondering if Marathon is Concord 2.0. But yeah, like I said, Bungie, this is what they are. They are a live service company. This is where all of their bread and butter is going to be for the next couple of years. And it doesn't appear that even some of the Bungie developers want to be just live service, but that was the reason why Sony spent $3.6 billion on this company. They invested. They put them under the Sony umbrella. They want their live service knowledge. They want them producing live service games. This was, again, Jim Ryan's mandate. This is what he wanted for this console generation, and so far it's been up in flames. Bungie reportedly wanted to make single-player games instead of more live service titles, and that's just not going to happen, especially because
I hope I don't need to explain why everyone wants live service titles. Because things like Hogwarts Legacy selling 20 million copies out of the blue is bad for business. That's how you don't get your promotion next year. That's how you get fired. Because Graph going like this is bad. Because then Graph goes like this down inevitably. So graph going like this, like, 2% higher each year. Now that's the shit. Now that's what gets the ladies wet in these corporate meetings. Okay, and that's what you want. So live service is an extremely simple way to do these things, even though it always backfires because of a multitude of reasons.
because of the money that Sony has invested and what they want from Bungie. And Bungie's knowledge has been obviously used for other properties like Naughty Dog's The Last of Us. They were brought in to give insight and pretty much said that's horrible. And they were also brought in for another number of other live service titles. And I'm guessing that they've already given their input on Horizon Online, which should be announced sometime this year. But this brings us to the announced trailer of Bungie's Marathon. We got the big gameplay reveal trailer just a couple of days ago. There's a bunch of other cinematics, some cool CGI, ARG stuff, but this is what everybody was waiting for, the actual gameplay presentation. And yeah, 31,000 dislikes to 21,000 likes. And let's look at the comments, some of the top comments. This is the first time in my life I saw an actual game trailer look like a YouTube ad that I would skip while eating dinner. Bungie never misses an opportunity to miss an opportunity. Bungie then, you'll have everything at launch, and with a complete story. Bungie now, you have to wait for more content and you'll lose what you paid for down the road. Which
True.
indie dev team made this early access game? And then we got another gameplay overview trailer, another.
Also, the fact that the idea that Bungie is good at live services is a complete myth at this point. They were once decent at live services at the time of when Destiny 1 came out and it was a good shooter and whatnot. But at this point, Bungie unironically thinks that they can release the expansion and 2 months after just remove the expansion from existence, but keep the story going, and now you have no way of knowing what happened and why shit is happening. Again, Bungie has no idea how to actually make a live service. I could close my eyes, throw a dart, and I would probably get better results. No, actually, I would consult a gypsy. That's what I would do. And I would get better results in a live service game than Bungie.
Another one, 28,000 likes to 23,000 likes. Come here right after seeing the cinematic trailer, feels biting into a chocolate bar and noticing it's just a slab of sawdust painted down. And yeah, these comments are
Brown, but okay.
absolutely brutal. A lot of people mocking what Bungie has been building. And then there's multiple articles with this. Gamers fear, Marathon from Bungie will suffer Concord's demise. Gamers are already calling Marathon Concord 2.0. Bungie's Marathon reveal trailer has me more worried than excited. Could this be Concord all over again? And look, fundamentally, this is a very different game than Concord, but it does obviously have that $40, supposedly it will probably be a $40 price tag. And it also is
All of this is lame. I mean, if Bungie wanted to make money, they should have just made this in the Roblox. And that's kind of it. They would have made more money.
only going to have 3 maps at launch, and it has that one game mode which is focused on PvP.
Yeah. This is Void. You can't tell if this is a man or a woman. This is Blackbird. Guess what? You also can't tell this is a man or woman. Glitch is probably a woman. Who fucking knows? And Locust is black, so that's definitely a man.
That is a turnoff for a lot of people.
Actually, I don't know. I'm just looking at the lips. They're skin colored brown, so I'm just fucking assuming. Yes, I'm assuming people's race is Sumi.
Some of those that absolutely love the Marathon IP, which originated like 30 years ago, feel very disconnected from this new entry because it's going in a
I don't think that matters. Everyone who knew what Marathon is dead now.
completely different direction than what this previously was known for. And this is an extraction shooter. It has I think it's going to have 6 runners that you can play as. The similarities that many players who have had access to this already have said, it's to Apex Legends and Destiny. And you can see some of the animations, they look very Destiny-esque, and they probably reuse some of the assets. But a lot of the similarities, they say that this feels a lot like Apex Legends, and a lot of the new characters, the runners, feel just like Apex Legends characters. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
That's a bad thing. We already know that Bungie looked for inspiration into Apex Legends. And if you don't know, Apex Legends is slowly dying and declining. So have fun with that's a great inspiration.
definitely that is the inspiration for this game. And selling this at a $40 price tag, That's a bold move, and obviously the other extraction shooters on the market, they cost money. Hunt Showdown and Escape from Tarkov, those are the two notable ones, and yes, they are paid experiences, but I do think that they offer a lot more than what Bungie so far is going to be releasing later on this year. And I think the big problem a lot of people have is that this game just doesn't look and sound like it's complete. And a lot of what we're hearing of the concerns that people have been bringing up surrounding Marathon, it's a lot of, well,
Yes, it will not be complete because currently what the CEOs and people with stock options in Bungie are trying to do is hype this shit up and abandon ship before the Sony takeover happens. Because again, when Sony takes when a company is taken over by a larger company, there's two things that happen. It's actually one thing, but let me explain. So people get let go. 100% of the people who are going to be let go in this situation are the C-suite executive type of people, the CEO, the executives, and most likely probably at least half at the very less than half at the start, department heads, but the department heads are going to be probably changed in the upcoming year or so because you can't fire everyone. Okay, that's kind of a trick here. A change happens gradually, and all of these people know that because this is like business 101. This is one of the first things that you learn in actual, big corporations and shit, that these things happen. And these people know that this is going to happen. They know that they're going to get let go when Sony takes over because Sony wants, CEOs that are actually capable, at least by their fucking metric, whatever that would be. So these people are trying to just push the hype up, push the everything up, so they can leave, sell their fucking stock off of Bungie, and well, have a nice day, or with whichever version of this type of equivalent deal they have.
wait.
Bungie is not publicly traded, but they still have like fucking options and shit that they want to pump up.
Well, this is just pre-alpha. We're working. We're going to get this a lot better. And those, even Bungie, when they're talking about the excitement surrounding Marathon, they're talking about this mysterious fourth map that's not even going to be there at launch. And we don't know how long we're going to have to wait for it. These are the type of things that you do not want to hear. And then, again, there's just many criticisms that people have been bringing up, such as the fact that it won't be free to play. And again, that's a bold move. Obviously, I understand the other extraction games on the
Not good.
market, but PvP focused multiplayer experiences, they have an uphill battle now with when they have price tags. Game director Joe Ziegler explained why Marathon won't be free to play. This was their explanation. We're hoping that what we're showing is exciting enough that someone is going to take the leap with us, but we're also committed to delivering on seasons past this that will continuously offer to evolve the game without an increase to the box price. What we're hoping everyone understands about the game is that we're focused on committing to making this a game that's really awesome, and we feel like that starting point is really strong at the current
They just want the payout from Marathon, and that's it.
time. Everyone's got their own definition of what is the right price, and as we deliver that information, we're hoping we hit the right.
So, what is the most likely situation that could be happening here? Well, Sony's taking over, but this is internal. This is internal policies for these type of companies, and it kinda is well. How long have you need to have worked, or when you are eligible for a bonus, or if you're in a higher position, when you are eligible for the earnings. So they want to pump Marathon out as fast as possible, get as much as possible. So when Bungie comes in and they do get replaced, their earnings for Marathon are already locked in, and they cannot be taken away by Sony.
Right price that makes you feel it's worth your value. And so far we have not gotten actual price details. It seems to be up in, flux right now. It has been said it's not going to be a fully priced experience, so don't expect $70, but is it going to be 30, 40, 50? We don't know right now. And Bungie is keeping their cards close to their chest at this point. But there is many issues people have been bringing up. This is another one. Bungie says no proximity chat for Marathon Revival in order to create a safe space for players, and
No!
Before I deconstruct that, I will just say
Safe
this
space.
headline really paints a horrendous picture of this AAA games industry, a safe space. You know, we talk about a lot of these other experiences in which, you know, you have this cringe character or something, and it's a lot of you can control the buttons that you press. This is very much the same thing. You can hit that mute button. I don't know why a lot of developers just keep on saying, well, we're so concerned about toxicity in this game or the game we're making, but we also want to make a game that's focused on social interactions and such. Then the answer is right there. Give the players the ability to hit the
Look at how bad this is.
social interactions and such.
Look at this.
Then the answer
The new male zero fucking ass manly jaw aligns.
is right there. Give the players the ability to hit the mute button and tell them if you're upset with toxicity, hit that mute
This is non-binary at its best.
button. I don't know why this is so difficult, but specifically the game director of Bungie's Marathon, the new one, Joe Ziegler, he says, when it comes to prox chat, I don't think we're against the experience of it, to be fair. I think the challenge is, how do we make sure we're creating a safe environment for players inside of that space? Give them a mute button. That's it. That's fucking it. I'm so tired of this. I'm so, like, even a report button. Report people that are horrendous. Like, it's not that difficult. But turning this off in a game that you're calling a social extraction shooter, it's just mind-boggling. But he did continue. He says, I don't think anyone really has a good solution to that just yet. The answer is it's a mute button, my guy. Because we're so dedicated to making sure that we're creating a safe space where we don't have players just flaming each other or doing terrible things to one another. I think we're not ready to invest in prox chat until we have a solution. The solution's there. I think that's where we stand right now. Like, it was magical and we could somehow come up with that solution. I think we totally would do it, but right now it's a challenge that many companies are trying to figure out. And again, this is another interview that he gave around the same time with Jake Lucky. The key thing for us was making Marathon a little bit more of a social extraction experience where there's a lot of value in playing with other people that you know or people that you want. And you all feel like you can create that adventure together. We're not trying to fragment you all the time.
I'm always trying to, you know what I'm trying to find for all the marathon thumbnails? The devs. Because the marathon devs are fat lesbians. Half of them are fat lesbians. Not even joking. It's hilarious.
Time, you know. And again, social extraction experience, no proximity chat, it just does not make any sense at all to me. But fortunately, Bungie says again that this is another thing that's in flux. We're listening. We're looking at feedback. This was from one of the Bungie, heads of communication, saying keep the feedback coming. We haven't even released a public alpha. Who knows what could change? This is just the beginning. And then obviously, again, more criticism that has come around is also with its art style, with a lot of people criticizing it, saying that it looks bleaker and more matte compared to that original debut trailer that we got. I believe it was a couple of years ago, in which, again, this is pretty much similar to the head of communication, what he said before. It's pre-alpha. We're definitely working on a lot of things, trying to make it as compelling as possible. It's always hard to compare to these sultry Blender renders, though, and it just feels like this game is in such an unfinished state right now that I wonder why they've already put themselves down with a release date, in which it doesn't feel like this game is going to be complete day one. And the fact that it is going to be asking for that price tag, that's one of the big things that concerns me about a game like this. We've seen this many times blow up in developers' face when they make all these promises months beforehand and then they can't deliver come release day. I just have
Short. Man, I'm good at this.
and then they can't deliver come release day. I just have strong feelings that this is probably where this is headed, honestly. But with this criticism and everything that we have been hearing surrounding Marathon and the overall, I guess you could say it's a more negative sentiment surrounding this game right now, we did actually hear from an ex-Concord developer, Stephen Williams, a former senior VFX artist, who opened up and gave his thoughts about the criticism that people are throwing at Bungie right now with Marathon. And in one of the
I'm sure that's going to be very valuable criticism.
comments, I should mention that he said to call this game a failure before it's even out is wild to me, and that is his response to some of the people saying that this is going to be a game that's dead on arrival. But in his massive overall thoughts, he had a lot more to say.
Yeah, I'm gonna trust the opinions of a fucking guy who worked at Concord and did not know that Concord is dead on arrival. Sure, bro, what? I literally fundamentally refuse to trust anyone who did not think Concord is gonna be dead on arrival.
And he specifically said, many players know about Concord and what happened with that project. Concord failed to inspire players, and the message was heard loud and clear. It was gut wrenching to see our project fail and be the laughing stock of many online. I've learned that failure is what drives me to succeed. No one feels as bad as the people who put their time on the line. I don't know about that. Some of the remarks coming from some of those former Concord developers in the past definitely indicated that they weren't learning the lessons that need to be learned from that failure. But this former developer, does continue saying they hoped it would entertain the masses of gamers across the globe. I'm not asking for pity or even sympathy because, after all, this is the name of the game. You win or lose, the margin for success is very thin. I took a chance and lost. Although, let's be honest, Concord made a series of mistakes that could have been easily avoided. And again, I just have considerable issue with the overall sentiment that's coming from these remarks, in which it's just like, yeah, we tried, we did everything that we could to make this a success, and you really didn't. Like, Concord was a mess in so many different regards. Obviously, it was entering an oversaturated market, but the baffling character design.
Can we stop again with the oversaturated It's not. Make a good enough game. Congratulations, you got players.
The fact that it didn't really have a unique identity. These were
Like, Baldur's Gate is a turn-based RPG from the top down, which, if you would ask if that's a success, if that's something that could sell 20 million copies before Baldur's Gate 3 came out, the majority answer would be no, no one's interested in that shit. But again, make a good enough game, and congratulations, how the world turns.
characteristics, things that should have been learned long before it released, and it didn't. Then obviously the price tag. That price tag really hurt in a market with a bunch of hero shooters that were not paid experiences. So yes, I do have issues with the sentiment that's coming from these remarks, like they really tried their best. No, you didn't. You made a lot of dumb mistakes, and people were criticizing it months before, and you didn't listen to those people because I guess you didn't care about those opinions of people that
Yeah, this is Concord.
would have played this experience if they had listened. This developer does continue about Bungie and Marathon, saying, some of you probably smell blood in the water, maybe, and probably want to roast me for no longer lurking and exposing myself. I hope you don't, and see that people create these projects and work very hard to be the next big thing.
Wait. One thing that doesn't make sense about Concord is the fact that you're actually not a human in this game. You're like, I don't know, driving a flesh suit or something like that. Effectively a mech. You could easily say. I'm cleaning up my what's it called? Mouse a little bit. Relax. Oh, it's relaxing. It is what it is. But as you can see, the mech is on the ground right there, and it's crawling. But if you don't feel any pain, why the hell would you crawl? You can just literally kind of bypass the just keep on running. So how is that even a thing? Technically, it should not be a thing. That's kind of the takeaway there. But I guess no one at Concord literally gives a shit about reasoning or whatnot. Honestly, not a lot of people care about this. I'm probably one of the few ones. But still, point being,
Seeing
I
the
don't
faces
like
of
it.
the developers on the Bungie stream gave me hope and excitement for what's to come for Marathon. I commend them for taking a chance, trying something foreign to them that isn't proven nor guaranteed to succeed. I worked on Concord and did my best. We came up short. That's an understatement. Please don't
Yeah, you didn't come up short. You literally sold effectively no copies.
punish others for our mistakes, and I don't agree with that at all. He says we are human beings who are trying to create something special. Marathon is no different. Be kind to be cool, as video games are meant to be fun. Yeah, they are meant to be fun, but when developers in this
If they're meant to be fun, then why are you making bad video games where politics, for some reason, takes center stage?
industry aren't listening and learning from failures, yes, you are right to bring up those failures, and we will punish this industry when they aren't listening to what players want. And it often feels like a lot of these executives, a lot of these leaders, these developers will ignore a lot of the criticism that they just don't feel is warranted. But if they had listened to a lot of the criticism that they received with Concord when it had that debut trailer, maybe things ended up a little bit different. But that didn't happen, and Firewalk Studios no longer exists because of that, and Concord didn't even last 2 weeks. So I just think that says really a lot about this
It didn't even last a week, I think.
industry and the mindset that
Anyway, that was Legacy Kill HD. 10 out of 10. Have a nice day. Bye bye.